Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. And Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good good podcast platforming streams and on YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm having a giggle. I'll tell you about it later. My
Yes, we
guest
will.
today is Dr. Klara Gubacs. And we're going to be talking about mind and gut health connection. And Dr. Klara, her belief is that the self doesn't need to be improved for happiness, but only needs to be understood. And we'll get into that topic in a little moment. Thank you, Dr. Klara, for joining me today. And thank you for your patience and having round two.
It's perfect. Don't change it because this is exactly what I talk about most of the time. So if you don't mind running with this, it is so fun that we are stumbling all over God's creation, but that's exactly what we are all about. I really enjoy that. So one of the things I wanted to start with is really thanking you for the work that you do, because the immense amount of hours and energy you put in to helping us educate ourselves and learn about different perspectives, even on the same topics, it's really exciting for me. And I was listening to a bunch of your shows before this today, and some of the things that I thought that I knew something about, the different perspectives just allowed me to really have an even more a different outlook on, and the different responses and so forth and so on. So it's been just really fun. And today we just had a fun start to the whole show together. So this is going to be dynamite for anyone who is willing to listen to the mind and gut connection.
Yeah, so it is a good start. Yeah, I've got goosebumps now, so I know it's going to be excellent.
That's right.
So,
And it's not because it's a cold summer day in your end of the woods. It's just because
no,
we are
no.
outside.
So uh, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and we need to, find our own. We need to find our strengths and our weaknesses in our own way. But how does that relate to mind and gut health connection? How does the mind and the gut connect to each other?
So, just to give a tiny little brief background on me of how did I get to this and how did I see this connection. My father was a physician. Unfortunately, he passed away not long ago, and he has instilled in me a long, long time ago that the body can heal itself, and what Hippocrates said a long, long time ago as well, that all illnesses essentially start from the gut. So he instilled that in me, not that openly, because obviously I broke his heart by not being a physician. I do have my doctoral degree in education, in exercise science and physical education, but I had to go in a different way. Long story short, about 12 years ago, I am a multi-championship winning athlete. I love to compete. I love to play sports. This is my life, and I love to teach. Those are the two things. So about 12 years ago, I noticed two things. One was that my body started to break down. I started to gain weight. I started to experience fatigue, but really bad fatigue. Like I did not want to get out of bed, and I'm the consummate teacher, and I'm the consummate competitor. So for me to not want to get out of bed was really, really bad. I mean, I was looking for reasons to call in to work to say I'm not coming in. That's how much I didn't want to get out of bed. And I said, this is not me. But I didn't have any major event, like nothing. I didn't have an accident. I didn't have an illness per se. Just things just started to develop. I did not know what was going on. So the bad part about that was that it's also affected my brain. I started to forget things, and I always had a very good memory in so many different details. I started to also become, as my good husband used to say, PMS 24/7. I was snapping at everyone at all the time. And I am the good child in the family. Like, I'm the one who is usually just stays nice and calms everybody down and peaceful. And I was snapping at everything like a snapping turtle. It was awful. And I hated myself, honestly. And so I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, listen, it seems like you have thyroid issues, and we have to put you on thyroid medication for the next couple months. And if it doesn't help, then we have to have thyroid surgery. And I called my dad. He was in Hungary. I'm Hungarian. I am a dual citizen of America and Hungary. I called my dad. I said, Dad, we have a problem here. I think what I need to do is I need to go on some form of complete elimination diet, because I need to see, I started to look at in the research, and I need to see whether the food, not allergies, because food allergies are immediate. So when you have a peanut allergy, that's immediate. But food sensitivities are lurking down in the gut, and they just affecting you. And when you are trying to be a business owner like myself, when you're trying to be a leader, a CEO, a corporate, an athlete, those little tiny things, that if they don't function properly, they are going to affect you in a huge, huge way, and in the worst moments. So I was learning about all these things, and in a couple months I realized, wait a minute, some of the foods that may not even show in allergy testing, because again, you're not allergic to it, you are sensitive to it, but that sensitivity can increase to a height that is going to affect you once your immune system is unable to deal with it. So literally one day to another, because I am a little bit crazy. Okay, this just comes in the package. Maybe it's the Hungarian, I don't know. um, I literally cut every single major potential food group that could be a culprit. So one day to another, I cut coffee, alcohol, sugar, processed foods, dairy. The worst one was the coffee. I should
Yeah.
just say that was the worst one, right? But in less than 2 days, I experienced the most incredible, like, I was almost floating. I was so calm. I was so peaceful. I was, that enlightenment experience that all these big shots like Eckhart Tolle is, talking about. That was that sensation that you could do anything with me and nothing mattered. And that experience will never leave me. So from that point on, I did a lot more other things later on, which, I'm happy to talk about. But from that point on, one of the things I did is I have been always using that same diet before a very important presentation, before a competition, before when I want to go and talk to any of my higher ups about any kind of promotion. For 2 3 days, I go on that very strict diet to make sure that my body is exactly in the right shape and the right frame of mind. And this was the clearest thing for me, that how what I put in my stomach, in my gut, was affecting the sharpness and the energy of my body and my brain incredibly. So that was my first introduction.
Wow, that is an incredible story, and something that we could all learn from as well. You are what you eat, they say. So, yes, I think maybe I.
And that was
Yeah.
also a little bit of another wonderful side effect to that for anyone who is struggling with weight. And because I was also gaining weight prior to that whole thing, and and an athlete who wants to compete and want to fit into my clothing. I hate shopping, honestly, so I don't really want to grow out of my clothing. And with menopause lately, it's not an easy thing to keep myself in that weight, especially in the midsection. That's nuts. But that's another story, how to accept your menopause and how to live with it and be happy with it. But when you do that very strict elimination, when you really find the food groups that are not good for you, that just for you, not necessarily for your neighbor or for your best friend, for you, the weight was just shedding off. And in that 2 weeks, just in that 2 weeks, I was eating plenty, and I shed 10 pounds off just in that 2 weeks, just because of optimizing my gut health.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. So, what kind of athletics do you participate in?
I started with soccer. I also remember I know I don't look a day older than 28, but I am 52 now. So when I was growing up in Europe, especially in Europe, women were not really encouraged to play sports. In fact, you would probably have a chuckle on this one. I was, I think, like 19 years old or so when I was in the university to get my degree in physical education. And I was playing still pickup soccer with the guys and out there playing my game and all this stuff. And then one of the neighbors walking by and says, "You should be having children by now, not playing soccer." Oh my God. I mean, that was, being a woman athlete was not encouraged in my country back then. So, long story short, I never achieved what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be an Olympian. It was either soccer or tennis. And then tennis, I actually had a really, really great talent in tennis, not as big as in soccer, but it just wasn't in the works for me back then. And then I came to America and I fell in love with the beach volleyball. So that was my third sport that I competed in for the longest time. And then later on, I was competing in platform tennis, which is an outdoor game. I'm not sure if your audience is familiar with it, but it's an outdoor game in the winter. So it's like you play kind of like a mini tennis in a cage. It's fantastic. It's exciting. It's aggressive, but it's smart. It's a great game. And then once I had a bunch of injuries, thanks to my rather aggressive style of playing, I now have been a golf champion. And that was the championship 12 years ago that I was trying to conquer what I call my own Grand Slam when literally the proverbial SHIT hit the fan. And that's when I realized that something is not right. That was about 12 years ago.
Wow, you're an incredible woman.
Well, thank you. I just been given some gifts. This is the strength. This is what I'm talking about. Is we work so hard in our entire life, thanks to self-help and thanks to self-improvement literature and all these things that you got to improve on your weaknesses. You have to find them and you have to win through. No, absolutely not. You have to find your strength and escalate that to the highest for two reasons. Number one is because it's fun. It's fun to work on the things that you enjoy because each one of us are made for something. I mean, obviously you are made for bringing people together and bringing people to the world to hear, to make them hear and listen to the stories and have us heard. You made for that, and you making your life on that in so many ways. I'm making my life fun, bringing teaching and sports and health together. And that's what I love. And if you tell me that I have to become an administrator as of tomorrow, I say goodbye. No, not me. Not me. It's not gonna work. So that's it. I mean, it's just, and if we could just, every one of us could just stop following what others are doing and look for that. And that's what my program is built on, is literally finding your genius and then own it, define it, own it, and monetize it.
Okay, so this mind gut health connection, how can this be, I guess, programmed, turned around, used for business as a business owner? You know, there are things, obviously, the weaknesses, the strengths, whatever, but and it's, all very good for. I'm not, making a bad statement either, but how can this be turned around as a business owner? How can you use this to better yourself, better your business?
Yes, absolutely. It's a great question, and the answer is very simple in so many ways, but it takes a little bit of practice. So just imagine, especially in America, I'm assuming that a large percentage of your audience is also in these type of places where there is intensity. There is a constant requirement for you to perform on the call and maybe 24/7. So what needs to be understood is that the mind and the body is actually capable of functioning healthily and fully on 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep if it is properly nutritioned and properly understood. So if you want to, so for example, I am also an entrepreneur. I want to build the second part of my life once I retire from university. I want to build it as an entrepreneur. So I started to do that. The energy, just this launch that we're doing right now, the energy that goes into that, the calmness that goes into that. If your gut is not functioning to its highest level, you just plain not gonna have two things. You're not gonna have the energy and you're not gonna have the creativity because you're gonna have that fog that comes from the bad stuff that comes up in the bloodstream onto your brain. So those are just a couple of things. The other part is, so that's just the energy and the creativity. The other part is that if you constantly worried about, like right now with the COVID, this is the best time for you to really turn things around. If we constantly have the fear about potentially getting sick, potentially having some lifelong problem, or maybe even death, or somebody around us, if we always have this fear, we need to do what we have control over. I don't have control over whether I'm going to get the COVID, but I have control over that if it is affecting me, how strong is my body? Have I taken all those supplements that are actually good for me, not the ones that you can buy on Amazon for $15, but the ones that are really, really good for you, that has all the ingredients? Do you have that? Are you eating healthy for you, not for somebody else again? Because for me, milk will never work. For somebody else, milk is totally fine. You have to figure that out. And then you have to optimize your mind that you are sharp as you can be in every meeting, in every sense of the word. So when in the afternoon, when you get tired, you pick up a muffin. That's a thing in America, a cup of coffee and a muffin, or a croissant or something like that, as opposed to picking up an almond milk yogurt with mixed nuts in them. Okay. If you don't know which is good for you and what you need, then you shut yourself out of the competition against the other 3% that's going to just absolutely crush it because they're going to have the energy and you won't.
Absolutely. That's spot on. Thank you. I'm totally in awe of what you've just said. It's quite true, and we all need to look after ourselves a lot better than what we actually do. And as a business owner, or even as a parent, even as individuals, we don't look after ourselves to our best. And you're right too about the weaknesses. We always point out our weaknesses, and we don't play to our strengths, and we don't try to find what our strengths are either. So that's another important thing about what you do. I'd like to learn a little bit more about your course.
Yeah, so I would love to talk to you about it, but I do want to point out a very, very, very good point that you just brought up about that we don't focus on the strengths, we focus on the weaknesses. One of the things that I take apart and I connect it to the course, if you will, one of the things that I point out is the reason why we do not focus on our strengths and we focus on our weaknesses is because that's the one that was programmed into us. What was programmed into us is that constant nagging, essentially, that when we were trying to go to a particular direction that was not accepted by society, either micro or macro society around us, then we were always nagged that, okay, you should do this, you should do that, you should. They were not saying, you know what? I think you are really great at this. Let's go to that direction. Unless you were very, very lucky. I got to be incredibly lucky because my mom, thankfully, she's still with us. She saw something in me in my whole life. And then when it came to decision making, I was going to be actually a textile chemist. That's my trade, by the way. then she said, you know what, let me take Klara with me to the Hungarian University of Physical Education. Just, she had this reunion. She took me there, and I started to see that in one place somebody was playing soccer, the other one team handball, the other one this, that, the swimming. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. This is what I want. And I was totally not prepared. I didn't go to high school because my grades were not good in elementary school. So I had to study in 3 months. I had to study 4 years of biology and history to be able to get in. But when you find your path, you don't feel you don't feel how hard it is and all this stuff, because you are on call, you are on your path. So what I found with all this is that if you're not lucky, or people just don't look, or they don't have the time, that's the problem a lot of times with parents. It's not blame the parents day, but I'm saying is that we are so into our things that we don't have that much time to really watch what our children are good at. And I don't know how we got so lucky with my parents, but each one of us, I am one of three girls and I'm the youngest. Each one of us were kind of pushed in the direction that our parents saw that we were good at. And that is all you need to do. And if you didn't get that, and if you feel just a twinge of not being in the right place, the earlier you say, okay, let me just step back, let me see. One thing, either find what your genius is and bring it into your present environment. So if you have a great job like I had at the university, I was not about to leave the university. But what I did do is I figured out what is my strength, how can I get my tenure and promotion using my strength. That's what I did. And I just pummeled that because that made me enjoy my life at the university. Find what is your strength and see if you can kind of negotiate through the leadership. And it wasn't an easy negotiation for me because they want research. I am in a research institution. That's what they want. And I said to them, I said, guys, it's not me. You hired me. You went through that hard time of hiring someone. Can I please show you my strength, which is service, interaction, and teaching? And let me help those who do the research. So you can stay where you are. I really can't stand when people say they'll just move here, move there, go this. No, you're taking yourself with you. So it doesn't matter where you go to moon. But make sure that you find that strength. And that's what we do in the course is first of all, we have to calm the storm, because a lot of people come into us, especially nowadays, with a lot of problems and a lot of issues. So we have to calm the storm. Then we have to figure out what are the triggers that create that storm, because we have a ton of physical and emotional triggers. So we do the trigger tracker and the trigger elimination. And then we figure out what your genius is, because now once we don't have those triggers, the genius comes out, the strength comes out. We find a way to define, own it and monetize it. And then once you have all those three, that's when the true confidence can come to the surface. Until then, you can tell everyone, oh, just be confident. I'm not going to be confident. I don't know what I can build my strength on or the confidence on. So that's what we do. And then at the end is just perform in the now. Let me see how you can surrender to the moment. So wow. That's basically our sequence.
Wow, that's amazing. That is an amazing. So how can people get onto this course?
They just have to, click. We have a link, the performanceaccelerator.com, and we are putting that out there. It's a beta launch for this. This is literally my life's work put together in a product. We're also offering a Facebook group for anyone, and this is going to be for the next, I think, 2-3 weeks. Is going to be on this ridiculously low price, because I just want to bring in as many people as possible so they can experience what really feels like to know who you are.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure I'll put the link to both of those into the comments when this goes to air. Dr. Klara, any wise words before we finish?
I don't want to finish. I love talking to you. I think the only thing I would really love to say is I just had a client conversation yesterday, and this particular person is very much like what I used to be about 12 years ago. Very driven, constantly moving, going. Let's do this. Let's. I think she finally understood that we have to, in order for us to truly find what we are made to do in this world, we have to just kind of step back a little bit, really step back
Yeah.
and slow down for a minute or two. And I'm not asking, I know that we are driven business people. I know that. But what I'm asking is just don't the morning. When you start the morning, just 10 minutes, just get up 10 minutes before you would get up and tell the family, kids, husband, wife, whatever. You take the kids, I'm taking care of me for 10 minutes and literally just think about what am I here to do? And put on one of my favorite meditation stuff is actually on YouTube. You can have these air conditioning noise. It's so perfect because I don't pay attention to music. I put on the air conditioning on my ear and I let the air conditioning music go and say, why am I here for? What if there is one thing that I want to do, what would it be? What's my strength? What fires me up? And then the rest of the day, try to put that into your day because it's going to make your work, your relationships, your life so much better. Even if you have 10 to 20% of that strength, that genius, that who you are into your day, you're going to close that day so much better than if you didn't, if you just always listened to everybody else and did what everybody else always tell you to do.
Yeah. Great words of wisdom, those. I would love to have you on again later on in the year if you're up for that. I think our conversation has been absolutely wonderful today. I really
No,
enjoyed it.
absolutely.
Terrific. All right, Dr. Clara, thank you so much.
I
And
thank
yeah,
you
I
as
look for.
well. I really appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you so much. Bye.